Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be having a quick look at the Corsair H60. This particular one that we're having a look at is the SE edition, which I'm guessing stands for second edition. So they basically renewed their design, made it look a lot better in my opinion. They don't have that corrugated tubing anymore. They say they've got like improved cooling, all the usual marketing stuff. So without further ado, we'll get on to the actual product. So these, you can get them for around $100 Australian, which is pretty good I guess for a Corsair product. You can get their H55 unit for about $15 cheaper, but I'd recommend rather going with the H60 as it's geared more towards the mid-end to high-end type of cooling solutions. As you can see, it's a single fan radiator, 120mm. They've got one of their SP fans on it, 120mm fans, which they say, as you can see from the graph here, better cooling and less noise. So we'll have a look at it. I've got it installed here. As you can see, it's got quite a nice look to it. The actual cooler plate, it's got the Corsair logo on, which is nice and shiny and reflective. I've got the radiator mounted at the top. You're not really meant to mount it at the top. They don't actually give you enough screws to. But I just used some of these little screws that you use to mount like the power supply and hard drives in. I decided to just use those to mount to the top, and then these long bolts to mount the fan. And this works pretty well. I used to have it mounted at the back here, but I thought I would rather have it up here so that it's sucking in the cool air that comes in from the front, and that can successfully cool the radiator. As you can see, as I said, it's got quite a good look to it. It looks very nice. We've got the black tubing, not corrugated, which makes it look a lot better in my opinion than the previous version of the H60. As you can see, even if with all the RAM slots taken up, it has good clearance. It's not touching the RAM or anything, not touching the GPU either. So yeah, it's pretty good. As you can see, you probably can't, it has one 3-pin for the fan and then a 4-pin for the pump. So it's pretty good. It just uses the motherboard fan ports. It's very easy to plug in and install. Now this particular model, Corsair logo doesn't actually light up, but if you get something like the H80 or the H100, you can set the backlight on that Corsair logo, and you can have change colors and all that kind of thing. So let's have a quick look at what kind of temperatures we get. Turn this on. As you can see, the Corsair fan actually looks quite nice along with the other things in this system. Let me just adjust this. There we go. So basically it's just sucking in all the cool air that's being pushed in through these front fans, and it's going up into the radiator. So let's go into Windows and have a look at some of the temperatures. Alrighty, so now we're into Windows. Let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have a look at the idle temperature. So we'll bring up MSI Afterburner, and as you can see, CPU temperature is at idle at about 30, ranging between 10 and 30%. It's about 35 to 40 degrees, which is a little bit high, but it's not exactly a very cool day today. It's rather hot, so the ambient temperature isn't very low. So we got 36 degrees, and the sound from here is actually pretty good. You can't really hear it above the other things in the computer, over the graphics card and the other fans and everything. It doesn't make a noticeable audio difference. So next thing we'll do is we'll launch up Prime 95, so that we can put it under load and have a look and see what kind of temperatures we get. We'll run this. So we got Prime 95 open. Blah blah blah. Okay, so it's starting test. CPU usage has gone up to 100%. As we can see, CPU temperature is at around 53 to 54 degrees Celsius. And this isn't actually the fastest fan speed that we have in the BIOS. It's set to the standard, standard profile, I guess. Performance profile would obviously have the fan running at much higher RPMs, which will increase the noise quite a bit. And then if I had it on silent, it would run a bit hotter because the fan wouldn't be running as hot. So this is pretty good for a cheapish all-in-one cooler. I used to have a Coolmaster V6 GT installed on here, which got almost the exact same temperatures, but that was a much bigger cooler. So I'm actually fairly happy with this compared to the older cooler I have. I definitely recommend this CPU cooler for anyone who's on a budget. Even overclocking as well, this CPU cooler would handle pretty much any overclock easily, unless it's something like a i7 3770K or 5960X, which do run very hot, which in that case I do recommend either custom loop or something like an H110i GT Corsair cooler, something along those lines, because you can get very high-end all-in-one coolers which perform very well under high overclocks. But for the price, this is definitely a very good CPU cooler, and I definitely recommend it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.